Oscar De La Hoya, former promoter of Canelo Alvarez, says Jermall Charlo deserves a Canelo fight. Stay tuned. What up, fight world? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you smash the like button. Also subscribe to my channel for the latest and greatest in boxing. Listen, 2022, let's run them numbers up. I don't know how you found my video, but I appreciate you. Somehow, some way, you made it. Please help others find the content by throwing a like on the video. Takes a few seconds of your time. Link in the description. You see right there, it says Jermall Charlo has, quote, earned a fight with Saul Canelo Alvarez. Payday. You want payday? I know that, says Oscar De La Hoya. Now, Oscar De La Hoya was quoted saying that he believes Jermall Charlo has earned this fight. So it says, Canelo is currently taking a short break from boxing after fighting 4 times last year, 2021. He also became undisputed. It says it has been reported the Mexican is considering stepping up to cruiserweight to fight Makabu for the WBC belt after being given the all clear by the governing body, We Back Canelo, aka the WBC. But Golden Boy Promotions chief Oscar De La Hoya, I do believe De La Hoya, who used to promote Canelo, says he would rather see Canelo take on Jermall Charlo instead. De La Hoya, speaking in the interview with KO Artist Sports, said, quote, I want to see Charlo because I think Charlo just now earned his way to Canelo, like just now. And keep this in mind. Charlo is like one of those late bloomers. He's a great champion. I love him. We built him. But there's fighters that kind of gain notoriety like later in their careers. Like you have to really establish yourself, and he's one of them. But right now is the perfect time to make that fight. I would like to see David Benavidez. I think that's a great fight. I think that's a very dangerous fight. You know, guys like that. I think Canelo keeps proving everyone wrong. So keep going, man. Keep going. Eddie Hearn, meanwhile, pitched another idea to Canelo, a 3-fight series, light heavyweight, starting with Dimitri Bivol, followed by unifications against Artur Beterbiev and Joe Smith Jr. Hearn told DAZN, I think it depends on what Canelo wants to do in terms of the division he wants to fight in. I'd like to see him fight Dimitri Bivol, then Joe Smith, then Artur Beterbiev, and clean up at 175. I think with Canelo, anything is possible. I think him and Eddie Reynoso will talk and come up with the plan and look at the options, and it'll come down to what excites him. Does Joe Smith Jr. excite him? Dimitri Bivol might excite him because it says excite him more because he beat Joe Smith Jr. comfortably. He's undefeated, and that's a fight that can be made quite easily. Now, I will leave the rest for you guys to check out. So it's going to be very interesting to see what Canelo decides. We all know how Canelo operates. He likes to be the man in charge. He looks like he's just enjoying family time and whatnot. And, you know, I can't wait. I can't wait to see what he decides and what he picks. Rumor has it that it's Jermall Charlo. I think it's time. You know, I would have preferred, me personally, the fight at 154 or 160 because I'm just, in general, I'm not a fan of a person moving up unless you cleared out your division. And I've always maintained that. I wasn't big on Amir Khan moving up to 54, 55 to fight Canelo at Canelo weight when he was coming off a 47 run and his last fight was Chris Algieri. I didn't really condone it, or I didn't at all condone it when Kell Brook moved up to fight Triple G. And I still feel like it was kind of the same thing with Jermall Charlo, just to be consistent. However, my thing is this, Jermall Charlo's been calling out Canelo for years at this point, and it took possibly his last performance to maybe even get Canelo to really even mention his name and get the rumor mill swirling. So he kind of has to take the opportunity because it took for Canelo to see Jermall Charlo fight a fellow Mexican fighter Montiel, who had been stopped by Jaime Munguia. And I can't really say he gave Charlo issues per se, but he was more durable and he lasted longer than people expected. So these are the confidence boosters that Canelo's team clearly likes. And then furthermore, Charlo would have to move up and wait. So, I'm a little bit torn. At the end of the day, I still think it's a big fight for boxing. We are still in the pandemic and it's two big names. And like I said, I'm not saying that Jermall Charlo shouldn't take the fight, because I just told you he should take the fight. This is the closest you get. There's an old saying, stay ready so you don't have to get ready. It's better to keep up than to catch up. You know what I mean? Let me switch this picture. This is making me uncomfortable right now. Make sure you guys smash the like button. I just had to get to a fresh picture. So yeah, I think if Canelo is really trying to fight against Charlo, then he got to, take the opportunity. If it's a fair, of course, all things being fair, and if it's a fair contract and things like that, then you got to take this opportunity. Because I know Jermall Charlo has called for this moment for a long time. And realistically speaking, not just Canelo, but that's how a lot of people are. Like, they don't want to fight certain people until there's a perceived vulnerability. When a person's out in boxing everybody's ears off or ripping people's heads off and looking like Thanos, people don't want to fight you. And then when you show that you're human, as Charlo did in his last fight, I don't think it was as bad of a performance as some people made it out to be. I thought he looked pretty sharp. I thought the biggest issue that I noticed with Charlo is he seemed overzealous. Like, he was in front of a hometown crowd, and before his hometown crowd, he really wanted to excite him. So he pushed a little bit too much for the knockout. And I think he didn't pace himself like he normally does. Cause normally he's really surgical, more methodical, picks his shots. And I never really seen him gas out, but maybe it's the weight, he's a big dude. So maybe there was other things. And the other issue is Jermall Charlo hurt his hand. He showed you, I made a video about it immediately after Charlo showed you that his hand was jacked up. So all these things considered, it was the performance. He still came out with the dub, and that's the most important thing. Keep your win streak alive, keep your undefeated record alive, and learn whatever you learn from it. So if Canelo's a calling, let's get it. Now, another thing I got to talk about with what De La Hoya said is he's saying that I want to see, this is how you know people be lying in the sport of boxing. He says, I want to see Charlo because I think Charlo just now earned his way to Canelo, like just now. But this is the same person. I told you I'm the best in boxing history when it comes to this boxing talk. And I don't forget nothing. I remember what you told me. They said, don't start a war unless I got my money right. I got my money right now, won war. So once again, Oscar De La Hoya, recent interview. He says, quote, you see it on the screen, quote, I want to see Jermall Charlo because I think Charlo just now earned his way to Canelo Alvarez, like just now. But Oscar De La Hoya previously told the whole world in another separate interview I think he was interviewing during the Ryan Garcia media scrum, and he said that Charlo turned down an offer to fight Canelo, and the train has left the station. That's what he said. So you can't have your cake and eat it too. How are you now saying that? I told you the most dangerous things is the camera and a microphone, and some of the usual suspects do not learn. How are you saying that Charlo just now earned a shot at Canelo, like just now, but you claim, and there's a separate video from a while back where you had claimed that Jermall Charlo turned down a Canelo fight. Jermall Charlo got on Instagram Live, and I did a video about that too. And Jermall Charlo said, that's not true. He said, Canelo, I didn't get no offer. I don't know what he's talking about, So now, does that make sense what De La Hoya previously said? He says he just now earned a shot. So if you really believe that Charlo just now earned a shot, then how did you send him a contract like you stated in your previous interview? In your previous interview, right? And he's saying Charlo's a late bloomer and he's just now getting it. And, you know, one of the pathetic things I will say about not just Canelo fans, but the Canelo radical fans, one of the things that I find pathetic is I've been pushing for Canelo to fight Jermall Charlo, especially when they were currently in the same weight class and they both have fights in that weight class, unlike right now. And you hear all this feedback and mumbo jumbo from Canelo fans as to why Charlo didn't deserve it and Charlo ain't fought no one and Charlo ain't beat no one. But if Canelo selects Charlo, watch how all those people who for years when I was pushing for this particular fight, all those people who had a million and one excuses, 101 excuses like the Dalmatians, and they were saying that, oh, Charlo doesn't deserve it. What's he done? Who's he beat? And all the basically the opposite of what I was saying to stifle the fight and to ensure it didn't happen or that it didn't happen. Now, if Canelo picks him, those same people are going to praise the fight as a good fight and say, oh, Canelo's a beast for picking it. But if this was always such a good fight, then why weren't you supporting my channel? And why weren't you supporting the notion that Canelo should have been fought guys like Jermall Charlo, Demetrius Andrade, David Benavidez? So that's the part that is real forgettable in the sport of boxing. Canelo fans will now try to jump ship and act like Canelo's a beast for fighting Charlo, even though they're not even in the same weight class right now. But for years, people like myself, leader of the pack, right, urged Canelo to pick this fight. And Canelo's deepest fans that are in love with him, they all had an excuse saying that Charlo didn't earn it and who's he beat and the Charlotte sisters and, you know, name calling and all that. Now all of a sudden these people are going to be all in the comment section saying, oh, see, I told you, you know, you didn't tell me, you know. So it is what it is. Ego rant. That's my little rant. But nonetheless, it's a great fight. Let me know how I did in this video. It still hasn't been decided. I don't even want to spend too much time talking about Eddie Hearn. I mean, if you look at Dimitri Bivol's last couple fights, no one's watched him. I haven't watched him. He's been fighting on people's undercard. I have trusted sources that keep me posted on situations where I didn't personally get to watch it, people who I trust, and they said that Bivol was looking bad in his last fight. You know, it was like a abysmal type of performance. So Eddie Hearn and DAZN, they're looking real desperate trying to lure Canelo in, and I don't really think they have the chips. And then the other thing is Eddie Hearn was offering up guys like Artur Beterbiev, and I know his contract may be running out or may have ran out with Top Rank, but last time I checked, he was with Top Rank, you know, unless that relationship is over, and so is Joe Smith Jr. So how is he going to propose? How is Eddie Hearn proposing a 3-fight deal for Canelo, and 2 of the 3 fighters aren't current matchroom fighters, rematch room fighters? You know, it's crazy. So it looks like, to me, PBC got the biggest blockbuster fights for Canelo. And you've seen that. You've seen it with the Caleb Plant fight. Caleb Plant fight was Canelo's best numbers since the HBO days. And that's not up for debate. When Canelo fought Caleb Plant, it had the best buildup of any of his recent fights since HBO days. And it did the best number and was the most anticipated. All those DAZN fights, you can combine them, and it didn't have the same, you know, allure as Canelo Caleb Plant Undisputed. Let me know how I did in this video. Drop your thoughts in the comment section. As always, hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next video, it's Ego signing off. The future is now. The Hibernation 5s by Kenichi Bear. Hybrid gaming and lifestyle headphones. Out of the box, you can connect to any console or PC. Bluetooth ready with a low latency USB adapter, color RGB, and extreme bass mode. The Hibernation 5s adjust to you. Whether you need a gaming, travel, gym, or lifestyle headphones, the Hibernations got you covered. The new Hibernation 5s, link in the description. Customize the way you hear the world. Welcome to the nation.